So now that we have our web.xml ready to start making the changes to integrate Spring MVC into it, let's go ahead and get started. First we need to create a servlet. And the servlet is the Spring MVC dispatcher servlet. So we're going to go ahead and use the servlet element there. And as part of that, we want a servlet name. So our servlet name could be fit tracker servlet, anything we really want to name it, but we have to be careful, and we need to know what that name is because we're going to use it in the servlet mapping here in just a minute. Next thing we need is the servlet class. And the servlet class, a little bit of a long one here, is org.springframework.web.servlet. And that does have to be spelled correctly, so make sure you've got that right, because that will cause you an error. Now, I should tell you that by default you don't have to have this next section in, but everybody recommends you do it, myself included. And that is specifying the exact location of your configuration file, your servlet config.xml. By default, it will create one for you called fittrackerservlet.xml or fittrackerservletconfig.xml. It won't create it for you. That's just what it will look for. We want to specify exactly where it is and what we want it named, just to be clear, and it just takes 2 seconds anyways. So we're going to go ahead and add an init param, and inside that we're going to have a param name. And the param name is context config location, in camel case, exactly how I have it spelled there. And the param value is that we're going to use is webinf, and it has to be all caps for the webinf portion, config, and we're going to just call ours servlet-config.xml. Okay? Now that defines our servlet, but we don't have any servlet mapping set up just yet. So let's go ahead and set up our servlet mapping here. The servlet mapping is what routes traffic through it. So even though we have the servlet defined, let's oops, I got a little carried away there. We'll do the servlet mapping, and this name, remember how I told you we needed to make sure we remembered our name up there? It's exactly the same as this name up here. So that's the key between the two. Usually I try to not have any spaces in my servlet name or anything like that, just to help alleviate any errors I might have. The last section we need is to add our URL mapping to the end of our URL pattern to our servlet mapping. And this is simply just what file extensions or what paths we're going to accept for our servlet, our dispatcher servlet. So for now, let's just do asterisk.html. A little later, we're going to do some different ones here, so I don't want to confuse you yet by adding too many of them up front. Let's go ahead and save that, and now our web.xml is complete.